The air in the central distribution Gamma 7 was thick with the scent of machine oil and the faint tang of ozone, a cocktail that had become all too familiar for Maria Santos over the years. The hum of metal and machinery filled her surroundings, a constant reminder of the pulse of activity happening all around her. As a janitor, she spent her days navigating the sprawling labyrinth of the facility, broom and mop in hand, ensuring everything remained spotless amid the chaos. Today, however, was different. The rhythmic drip of water echoed through the maintenance area, an annoying sound that cut through the usual symphony of machinery. Maria paused, tilting her head slightly as she listened. The sound was persistent, almost insistent, beckoning her to investigate. She furrowed her brow. "This can't be good," she muttered, walking over to the source of the noise. As she approached the storage unit labeled maintenance supplies, her senses heightened. The metallic scent of the surrounding machines mixed with the fresh, sharp smell of water. Maria crouched down, her hands resting on her knees, and peered underneath. Just a small bead of water had formed around a pipe, glistening in the fluorescent lights above. "A drippy pipe," she said softly to herself, but her tone was laced with concern. With a practiced eye, she lifted the small hatch and examined the plumbing that snaked through the area. "Simple fix," she assured herself, reaching for her trusty tool belt, which held a collection of odds and ends suited for her daily tasks. Maria wasn't just a janitor, she was a resourceful problem solver, a woman who had learned to navigate life's little hiccups with fast thinking and practical solutions. After a few moments of careful inspection, the situation unfolded in her mind. The leak was a minor inconvenience, but as she examined the pipe further, she felt her heart race. The drip was not just a random breakdown, it appeared to be linked to a larger system that controlled the temperature and pressure in the main distribution lines. This could jeopardize the entire center, Maria thought, her mind racing with the implications. She could already picture the fallout: machinery failing, shipments delayed, the entire operation grinding to a halt. The distribution center was responsible for resupplying not just their sector but several nearby star systems. A chain reaction started in her mind. "If it's not fixed quickly," she began, but the thought was too daunting to finish. A quick flick of a wrench and some adjustments could fix the problem temporarily, but she knew she would need to report this leak to someone who could handle the extensive repairs required. She stood up, wiping her hands on her jumpsuit, and glanced at her watch. Her shift was almost over, yet she felt a growing sense of urgency. As she started to head toward the main office, another sound caught her attention. The whir of machinery seemed to intensify, almost like it was trying to warn her. She paused, her instincts kicking in. There was something off about the operation today, something that hadn't felt quite right for weeks now, more than just this leak. Maria made her way toward the administrative area, her boots making soft thuds against the metal floors. Each step felt heavier as the urgency in her gut grew. She needed help. Does anyone even care? She wondered. Here, in a world dominated by efficiency and cold technology, it felt like her voice often went unheard. As she approached the office, she spotted Jake, one of the maintenance technicians, sitting at his desk, looking over schematics on a holographic screen. "Hey, Jake," she called out, trying to muster an upbeat tone. "We have a small leak in the maintenance area. I think it might be connected to the main distribution system." Jake looked up from his screen, his brow furrowing. "A leak? That could be serious. Why didn't you tell someone earlier?" His tone was mildly accusatory, but Maria sensed his concern. "I just found it," she defended, crossing her arms. "But it's not just a tiny leak. It could get out of hand if we don't handle it right away." Okay, I'll check it out," Jake replied, standing up from his desk. "But I'm busy with these schematics. Can't we handle it later?" "Later might be too late," Maria urged, her pulse racing. "You know how these systems can fail. It could cause a domino effect. I couldn't just leave it." Jake sighed, glancing at the ominous screen. "All right, let's go take a look." They made their way back through the winding corridors, the rhythmic hum of machinery accompanied by the faint drip of water echoing ominously behind them. As they reached the maintenance area, Jake crouched next to the pipe, scrutinizing the leak. "You're right. This isn't good," he said, his voice now laced with genuine concern. "I'll have to call in a specialist from the outer sectors to fix it properly." "A specialist?" Maria asked, eyebrows raised. "Do you think they'll be able to fix it before the end of the shift?" He shook his head, looking more worried. "These old systems are a real pain sometimes. The parts aren't easy to come by. If we don't do something, we could have a full shutdown." Suddenly, Maria's focus shifted as another figure entered the room, an alien technician, with scales that shimmered like liquid metal. Its eyes glowed a bright blue, scanning the area instantly. The presence was imposing but strangely calming. Maria had never worked with an alien before, but in that instant, it felt like the answer to her problems had just walked through the door. "Greetings, I am Nilox," the alien said in a deep, resonant voice, making both Maria and Jake jump slightly. I sensed a disturbance in the systems. You require assistance. Maria exchanged a quick look with Jake, both surprised and relieved. Yes, she started, but her words faded as the alien advanced towards the leaky pipe. The smell of oil and metal faded into the background as her heart raced, a new sense of hope invading her previously clouded mind. This wasn't just a leak anymore, this was an opportunity, an encounter that could change everything. As Nilox began assessing the situation, Maria watched, realizing that sometimes, even the smallest problems could lead to the most significant actions. With the right help, who knew what could unfold next? The leak was just the beginning. Maria stood in the administrative area, her heart pounding as Jake's expression shifted from mild annoyance to a more serious concern. She could sense that he didn't fully grasp the gravity of the situation. I didn't think it was that serious until I took a closer look, she replied, her voice steady despite the tension. It's tied to the main distribution system. I really think we should report it. Before Jake could respond, the door slid open, revealing an imposing figure. Zektar, an alien technician from a neighboring sector, entered the room, his skin shimmering with shades of blue and green that seemed to hum with an underlying energy. Maria had read about his species, known for their advanced technological prowess, but she had never interacted with one before. Zektar's presence immediately filled the room with an aura of authority, his eyes scanning the area with a slight flicker of interest. Did someone report a malfunction? Zektar's voice was deep and resonant, laced with an accent that Maria found both intriguing and intimidating. Yes. We've got a leak in the maintenance area, Jake said, shifting his focus from Maria to the alien. I think it might be connected to the main distribution system. Zektar's brow furrowed slightly, an expression that seemed to indicate both concern and curiosity. Lead the way, he commanded, his tone leaving no room for argument. Maria felt a rush of exhilaration mixed with anxiety. She had never been in a position where her knowledge could be pivotal alongside someone of such advanced capability. As they moved towards the maintenance area, Maria couldn't help but steal glances at Zektar. He walked with an unusual grace, his limbs elongated and fluid, as if he were gliding rather than walking. The sound of their footsteps echoed off the metal walls, blending with the persistent drip that had been her only companion for the last few minutes. When they reached the leak, Zektar knelt beside the pipe, his eyes narrowing as he assessed the situation. A holographic display flickered to life from a device mounted on his wrist, casting a blue light over the dripping water. This shouldn't be happening, he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper, more to himself than to them. Maria crouched beside him, feeling a surge of confidence. It looks like it's affecting the pressure in the main system. If it's not fixed, it could cause a cascade failure. She hesitated, but the knowledge bubbled to the surface. I think I can patch it up temporarily while you work on a more permanent solution. Zektar glanced at her, surprise flickering across his features. You have experience with this type of repair? Just enough to get by, Maria admitted, her cheeks flushing with a mix of pride and embarrassment. I've been doing maintenance on smaller issues, but this, she gestured toward the leak, seems more serious. Impressive, Zektar replied, the faintest hint of a smile breaking through his stoic demeanor. Most humans would panic in this situation. They have a tendency to overlook the intricacies of our technology. Yeah, well, we don't all have advanced alien tech to rely on, Maria shot back, her tone sharper than she intended. She felt a flicker of defiance and surprise at her own boldness. Sometimes, simple fixes work better than whatever complicated solutions you all come up with. Zektar raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Are you suggesting that your methods are superior? I'm just saying that sometimes the most straightforward approach is the best one, she replied, her voice steady. Not everything needs to be over-engineered. The alien technician studied her for a moment, his eyes reflecting the glow of his holographic display. Interesting perspective. It seems humans possess a certain adaptability. While my species values precision and predictability, your kind often thrives in chaos. Maria felt a rush of validation. Exactly. We deal with what we have in front of us, and sometimes that means getting our hands dirty. Zektar chuckled, a sound that was both warm and surprising. Very well, let's see what you can do, he said, stepping aside to give her space. Maria grabbed her tool belt and took a deep breath, feeling a surge of adrenaline. She got to work, her hands deftly moving to tighten the fittings on the pipe. Zektar watched intently, his expression shifting between curiosity and admiration. I must admit, I've never seen a human tackle a repair with such resolve, he remarked, breaking the silence as Maria adjusted the last fitting. You possess a unique skill set. Thanks, she replied, glancing up at him. But we're not all just about grit. We can be innovative too. With a final twist of her wrench, she stood up and wiped her hands on her jumpsuit. That should hold for a while. Zektar inspected the pipe, nodding slowly. You've done well, Maria. It will suffice for the moment. However, we must assess the larger system to determine the root cause of this malfunction. Maria felt a swell of pride at his praise but knew the job was far from over. Right, let's see what else is going on before it gets worse. As they stepped back into the main area, Maria's mind raced with possibilities. The aliens' technology was not just different, it was a whole new realm of understanding. What kind of systems are you working with? She asked, genuinely curious. Zektar paused, his expression thoughtful. We rely on a network that balances energy distribution and environmental stability. However, it seems this leak has begun to compromise the integrity of our advanced technology. The implications hit Maria like a punch to the gut. So, this isn't just about a leak? It could affect your whole system? Exactly, he replied, his voice steady. If we do not resolve this, it could lead to catastrophic failures across multiple sectors. Great, Maria murmured. So, we need to think quick. Zektar turned to her, a glint of determination in his eyes. Your approach to problem solving may be the key to bridging our methods. Perhaps we can combine our efforts. Maria felt a spark of collaboration ignite between them. You mean, work together? I can share my insights, and you can provide the technical oversight. Precisely, Zektar said, nodding. Let us see how our contrasting perspectives can yield a solution. As they began brainstorming, Maria felt a shift in her understanding of the world around her. She was no longer just a janitor, she was part of something larger, pulling together the threads of human ingenuity and alien technology to solve a problem that could have far-reaching consequences. The stakes were high, but she felt empowered, her voice finally being heard in a world dominated by efficiency and cold technology. Together, they set off to tackle the complexities that lay ahead, united in their determination to prevent a disaster that could alter the course of their future. Maria felt the tension in the air shift as they knelt beside the leak. The steady drip had transformed into a more menacing trickle, as if the facility itself was protesting against the impending failure. Zektar's holographic display flashed erratically, illuminating the immediate area with a spectrum of blues and purples, casting strange shadows against the walls. Something is not right, Zektar muttered, his brow deepening with concern. The confident technician, who had entered the room with an air of authority, now seemed troubled. The pressure is fluctuating too much. We are at risk of a complete system shutdown. Maria's pulse quickened. A shutdown meant more than just a leak. It could trigger an intergalactic trade disruption, affecting not only their facility but potentially countless sectors depending on this hub. She looked at Zektar, and for the first time, she saw the weight of responsibility he bore, a burden she felt too. Can you reroute the pressure? She asked, adrenaline surging as her mind raced through possible solutions. If we can stabilize the leak, we might have enough time to fix the underlying issue. Zektar paused, his holographic display shimmering as he processed her suggestion. Humans often think outside the box, he acknowledged, though his tone remained skeptical. But this isn't a simple patch job. With the pressure dropping, the entire system could collapse within minutes. Maybe it's not just about fixing the leak, Maria said, her voice steadying with newfound confidence. What if we create a temporary barrier? Something to hold the pressure while we work on a permanent fix? We can use the supplies in the maintenance unit. Zektar's eyes widened, a flicker of realization crossing his features. An unconventional method. I must admit, I did not consider such a remedy. Your instincts are sharp. Maria felt a rush of pride at his compliment, but there was no time to dwell on it. Let's grab some of those sealing compounds, she suggested, pointing towards the maintenance supplies. We can use those to create a makeshift dam around the leak. As they scrambled to gather the materials, the alarms in the facility began to blare a piercing warning, cutting through their focused efforts. Red lights illuminated the room, casting an ominous hue over their faces. What's happening? Jake shouted, panic edging into his voice. The system is going offline. Zektar replied, urgency threading through his tone. We have to act quickly. We may need to isolate this section entirely to prevent a chain reaction. Then let's do it, Maria urged, her heart racing. I can seal the leak while you manage the controls. We need to work together. Zektar nodded, the determination in his eyes igniting a spark of hope within her. Agreed. I will initiate the isolation protocols. You must work fast. As Zektar moved to the control panel, Maria focused on the leak. The cold metallic surface of the pipe felt foreign against her hands, but she pushed aside her doubts. She pulled out the sealing compound, a thick, viscous material that promised to hold even under pressure. With trembling hands, she squeezed the tube, watching as the dark substance filled the cracks and crevices of the damaged pipe. Now, Zektar shouted, his voice resonating over the alarms. Activate the isolation. With a swift motion, he pressed the buttons on the control panel, and the facility's hum shifted to a desperate whine. Maria felt the vibrations beneath her hands as the isolation protocols engaged, the sounds echoing like thunder in her ears. The leak slowed but didn't stop. Maria's heart sank. It's not enough. We need more pressure to seal it. Then let's increase the flow rate, Zektar commanded, his voice steady amidst the chaos. It might cause temporary flooding, but it will give you enough force to set the seal. Are you sure? Maria hesitated, glancing at the growing puddle of water beneath her. That could make it worse. Trust me, Zektar insisted. It is our only option. With no time to argue, Maria nodded and pressed the button to increase the flow rate. The water surged through the pipe, and she felt the pressure change beneath her hands. Gritting her teeth, she pushed the sealing compound deeper into the cracks, feeling the cold material bond with the metal. As the pressure built, the leak began to slow. The water, once cascading in a torrent, became a mere trickle. Maria could hardly believe it. The solution was working. It's working. Keep it steady, she shouted over the alarms. Zektar watched the readouts, his features a mix of concentration and admiration. You are resourceful, Maria. I underestimated your capabilities. For a brief moment, a sense of camaraderie blossomed between them, the shared urgency transforming their interactions from mere necessity into teamwork. But there was no time to bask in the moment. The alarms blared louder, reminding them of the ticking clock they raced against. Now we need to secure it, Maria urged, scrambling to apply more compound as the water continued to fight against her efforts. If we can hold it long enough, I think I can set a permanent patch once the pressure stabilizes. Then let's finish it, Zektar agreed, his voice rising in determination. We have no time to lose. With synchronized energy, they pushed through the chaos. Maria's heart raced with adrenaline as she worked, each moment fueling her confidence. She could feel Zektar's eyes on her, his respect transforming into a deep understanding of her worth. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Maria completed the patch. She stepped back, breathless, as the alarms began to quiet. Zektar checked the readings on his device, his expression shifting from tension to cautious relief. The pressure is stabilizing, he announced, a hint of awe woven into his voice. You did well, Maria. She could hardly contain her smile. We did it together. But as the alarms faded into silence, a new problem arose. Zektar's face darkened as he glanced at the control panel. However, we must still address the main system failure. If we don't, the intergalactic trade routes will be heavily impacted. We may be facing an invasion. Maria's heart dropped. An invasion? It's that serious? Yes, and it will require all of our skills to prevent it. We must work fast. The gravity of the situation settled over them like a heavy cloak. Maria felt the weight of responsibility once more, but this time it was different. She wasn't just a janitor, she was a crucial part of the solution. Then let's do this, she said, determination igniting within her. Together. As they turned to face the next challenge, Maria knew that the stakes had risen. But for the first time, she felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. As Maria wrestled with the thought of increasing the flow rate, Zektar's holographic display flickered, revealing a surge of alarming data. This is risky, he warned, urgency threading through his voice. If we push it too far, we could lose containment entirely. Maria nodded, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on her. But if we don't try, we'll face a total collapse anyway, she replied, her heart racing. We have to act fast. Zektar hesitated for a moment, his alien logic wrestling with Maria's instinctual understanding of pressure dynamics. She could see the gears turning in his mind, and it gave her hope. All right, he finally said, determination hardening his gaze. On my mark. Increase the flow in 3, 2, 1 now. With a swift, decisive move, Maria adjusted the control valve, feeling the sudden rush of water surging through the pipe. The noise intensified, like a roaring river against stone, and she held her breath, hoping that the force would be sufficient. I can feel the pressure building, Maria shouted above the cacophony. Let's get the sealing compound ready. Zektar worked furiously at the control panel, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. It's stabilizing, but not for long. If we don't seal it now, we'll lose everything. As the leak began to spurt violently, Maria pressed the tip of the sealing compound tube against the pipe, squeezing with all her might. The thick, black substance oozed out, slowly filling the cracks but not quite achieving a complete seal. The water continued to spray, drenching her hands and arms, but she didn't relent. Come on, she muttered under her breath, willing the compound to hold. Zektar's eyes widened as he noticed a critical component on his display begin to flash red. The auxiliary stabilizer is failing. If it goes offline, we'll be finished. Maria's mind raced. Zektar, what do we need to keep that stabilizer online? He glanced back at her, his expression a mixture of disbelief and admiration. We need a new power relay, but the nearest supply is on the other side of the facility. Then I'll go, she declared, a fierce determination igniting within her. Just keep the pressure steady. Are you sure? Zektar asked, his brows knitting together in concern.
It's a long run, and the alarms are escalating.
I can handle it, she insisted, adrenaline flooding her veins.
Give me directions.
Zektar hesitated, then nodded, his voice sharp and clear. Head through that maintenance door, take a left, and you'll find the supply room.
Grab the relay and get back quickly.
Without another moment to spare, Maria sprinted towards the maintenance door, her heart pounding in her chest. The alarms blared like a warning siren, and the lights flickered ominously above her. As she dashed down the narrow corridor, the air was thick with the scent of machinery and the faint, metallic tang of panic. She turned left, skidding slightly on the polished floor as she raced towards the supply room. The door slid open, revealing an organized chaos of tools and parts, illuminated by the cool blue light of the overhead panels. Maria's eyes quickly scanned the shelves, seeking out the power relay. Where is it? She muttered, her pulse racing. The sound of the leaking pipe echoed in her mind, urging her to act faster. Finally, she spotted it on a high shelf, nestled between various tools. She leaped, reaching for the relay, her fingertips grazing the cool surface before she grasped it firmly. Got it, she exclaimed, cradling the small device against her chest.
Now, back to Zektar.
But as she turned to leave, a rumble vibrated through the facility, sending a tremor through the ground. The lights flickered again, and she stumbled as the alarms blared louder than ever.
No, no, no.
Maria gasped, forcing herself to move faster. She could feel the weight of time pressing against her, each second counting down to potential disaster. The return path felt longer, the air heavier with dread. As she sprinted back towards the control room, a loud crash echoed behind her, followed by the sound of machinery sputtering. Her heart dropped. Zektar, she shouted, fear coursing through her. She burst through the door to see Zektar hunched over the control panel, frantically trying to stabilize the system. You took too long, he exclaimed, his voice a mix of relief and panic.
The stabilizer is about to fail.
Here, Maria shouted, thrusting the relay towards him.
Plug it in. We need to get it online now.
Zektar snatched the relay from her hands, his expression changing from panic to focused determination. With deft movements, he connected the new device to the control panel, his fingers moving like lightning. If this works, we might just have a chance.
The facility trembled again, the alarms shrieking.
Please hold, he cried out, pressing a sequence of buttons. The display flickered between red and yellow, the lights casting a frantic glow over their faces. With a final, desperate push, Zektar pressed the last button. The light stabilized, shifting from red to a calming blue, and the alarms quieted to a low hum. We did it, he shouted, a wave of exhilaration washing over him. Maria felt a surge of relief, but it was short-lived as another alarm blared. The pressure is still dropping, she exclaimed, glancing at the leaking pipe.
We need to seal it now. Then let's finish what we started,
Zektar urged, regaining his composure. Maria rushed back to the leak, positioning herself to apply more sealing compound.
On 3, we increased the flow again.
Ready, Zektar replied, determination in his eyes.
1, 2 now.
They worked in unison, the urgency of their task pulling them closer together. As the compound began to hold, Maria felt a new sense of partnership form between them. Zektar's respect for her ingenuity was palpable, and for the first time, she saw him not just as an alien technician, but as an ally. With a final thrust of sealing compound, the leak finally began to slow, the pressure stabilizing.
As the last signs of water disappeared, they both exhaled, the tension in the room dissipating.
Excellent work, Maria, Zektar smiled, a genuine warmth in his expression. Your method was unorthodox, but effective.
I see now that human ingenuity is a formidable asset.
Maria beamed, the pride swelling in her chest. And I see that sometimes, it's not about advanced technology, but about thinking on your feet. But before they could celebrate further, the facility began to shake again, this time more violently.
What now?
Maria gasped, gripping the edge of the control panel for support. Zektar's expression shifted to one of alarm.
The core reactor is unstable. We need to initiate emergency protocols now.
Maria's heart raced as the alarms blared once more, but this time, she felt ready. Working together, they would face whatever came next. As Maria dashed back toward the maintenance corridor, the power relay tucked firmly under her arm, her heart raced not just from the exertion but from anticipation. She had no idea what new challenges awaited her. The sound of machinery reverberated through the facility, mixing with the ominous alarms blaring above her. The lights flickered erratically, casting fleeting shadows that danced along the walls, amplifying her growing anxiety. Just as she reached the door to the main control room, a violent jolt rocked the ground beneath her.
Maria stumbled, almost losing her footing.
Come on, hang in there, she muttered to herself, pushing through the disorientation. The facility felt alive, as though it were protesting her every step. With a firm grip on the relay, she pushed the door open and burst into the control room. Zektar looked up, his expression shifting from concern to relief as he saw her. "You made it," he exclaimed. But the moment was fleeting. His gaze quickly darted back to the holographic display, which was now flashing a chaotic array of warnings. "Did you get it?" he asked, his voice a blend of hope and desperation. "Here." Maria held out the small device, but Zektar's eyes widened as he examined the display. "We need to act quickly. The auxiliary stabilizer is fluctuating dangerously. We might only have minutes before it fails entirely." Maria's heart sank. She had expected an immediate fix, but now the reality of their situation loomed larger. "What do we do? Just plug it in?" Zektar shook his head, frustration evident. "It's not that simple. The connections are incompatible. Our systems are designed for the previous model of this relay. We need to adapt it to fit, but I don't have the tools here." Maria took a deep breath, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. "What if we rig it? I might not have your engineering skills, but I can be creative." Zektar's expression softened, a glimmer of faith flickering in his eyes. "You really think we can make it work?" "Let's find out," she replied, determination igniting within her. She rummaged through the tools scattered across the workbench, her hands racing over various components. "We can use this." Maria picked up a roll of duct tape and a pair of pliers. Zektar's brows furrowed, skepticism etched on his face. "Duct tape? Incompatible components need more than that." Maria shot him a playful smirk, her lips curling into a grin. "Sometimes, all you need is a little human ingenuity. Trust me." As they worked together, Maria found herself navigating a blend of emotions. The tension in the air was palpable, yet there was an unexpected bond forming between them. They were two beings from different worlds, both determined to save this facility and perhaps something greater. "Did you ever think you'd be fixing a leak with a janitor?" she asked, trying to lighten the mood as she cut the tape with precision. Zektar chuckled, the sound surprising her. "Never. But I must admit, you have a unique approach to problem solving." "Thanks, I guess. But I'm curious, what's at stake for you? Why does this facility matter so much?" He paused, the weight of her question hanging in the air. "This facility is crucial for my family. If it fails, it could mean resource shortages for my home planet. My children, they rely on this operation. If we fail here, it's not just a building that collapses, it's their future." Maria felt a jolt of understanding surge through her. She realized that Zektar wasn't just an alien engineer, he was a father, a protector of his family's future. The stakes were higher than she had imagined, and while she'd been thinking of it as a job, he was fighting for a legacy. "Let's do this for your kids then," she said, her voice firm. "Agreed," Zektar replied, his determination returning. Together, they began to apply the duct tape around the relay, reinforcing the connections with every twist and turn. Maria's hands moved with a newfound confidence. "I never thought I'd find myself doing this," she said, half laughing. "Who knew a janitor could save the day?" "Your efforts are invaluable, Maria. Creativity often triumphs over technology," Zektar replied, focusing intently on the task at hand. As they worked, the alarms continued to blare, but Maria felt the pressure of the situation shift. Zektar's resolve fueled her own, and she found her rhythm. They communicated in quick, practiced movements. Maria passed tools while Zektar adjusted the wiring, their teamwork becoming instinctual. Once they finished reinforcing the relay, Zektar stepped back to assess their work. "It should hold," he said, but doubt flickered across his face. "We need to connect it to the stabilizer and monitor the readings closely." "Let's hope it's enough," Maria said, her heart thudding in her chest as they moved to the control panel. Zektar's fingers flew over the holographic interface, inputting commands with precision. The display lit up with a series of diagnostic readings, but as the relay integrated into the system, an alarming beep sounded. No, not now," Zektar exclaimed, frustration creeping back into his voice. "The stabilizer is still in danger of failure." "Then let's reroute power," Maria shouted, the idea striking her like a bolt of lightning. "You mentioned earlier that we could redirect energy from the auxiliary systems." Zektar's expression turned contemplative, and he nodded slowly. "Yes, but it requires fast calculations and precise timing." "Then let's do it together." Maria jumped into action, her mind racing with possibilities. "You handle the calculations, I'll manage the manual adjustments." Zektar glanced at her, a newfound respect in his eyes. "All right. Let's make it work." Working in tandem, they recalibrated the power flow, Maria guiding energy through the auxiliary systems while Zektar calculated the risk levels. With each second that passed, the tension in the room grew thicker. The alarms blared angrily, echoing the urgency of their mission. "Almost there," Zektar said, his voice steady, but Maria could see the strain on his face. "We just need to stabilize the flow now." With a final twist of the control valve, Maria felt a surge of energy pulse through the facility. The alarms began to quiet, and the lights flickered back to a calm glow.
Zektar's face broke into a grin. We did it. Maria laughed, relief washing over her like a wave. I can't believe it actually worked.
But as the adrenaline began to fade, she felt something deeper growing between them, a bond formed through shared struggle and resilience. Zektar's eyes sparkled with gratitude and something more profound, and in that moment, she understood the true impact of their collaboration. As they caught their breath, the stakes shifted yet again. They had found a solution together, but the ripple effects of their success were only beginning to unfold. The facility hummed with renewed life around them, but Maria knew there were still challenges ahead. Now we need to ensure the containment field remains stable, Zektar said, his voice suddenly serious. We may have fixed the leak, but the real test is still to come.
Maria nodded, determination setting in once more.
Whatever it takes, we'll see this through. And as they prepared for the next phase of their mission, a sense of hope surged within her. They could overcome this together, no matter the odds. As they applied the last bits of duct tape around the relay, a tense silence settled between Maria and Zektar. The air was thick with anticipation, and every flicker of the control panel seemed to pulse in time with their racing hearts. Maria glanced at Zektar, whose eyes were locked on the holographic display, calculating the risks and benefits of their makeshift solution.
Okay, we're ready, she said, trying to infuse a confidence she didn't entirely feel into her voice.
She stepped back, letting Zektar take the lead.
What's next?
Zektar nodded, his expression a mix of determination and trepidation. We need to reroute the power through this relay. When I give the signal, you'll have to activate the flow valve again while I initiate the power sequence.
Are you ready?
Ready, Maria replied, her heart racing not just from fear but from a growing sense of purpose. This was her moment, a chance to prove that her skills, however humble, could impact something larger than herself. She felt the excitement bubbling inside her, a stark contrast to the anxiety that had gripped her since this crisis began.
On 3, Zektar instructed, his voice steady. 1, 2, 3. Maria's fingers danced over the control panel as Zektar activated the relay.
For a brief moment, nothing happened. The room was filled with the low hum of machinery and the anxious beeping of the warning alarms. Then, suddenly, a surge of energy coursed through the facility. The lights brightened, and the alarms shifted to a more rhythmic beep, indicating a stabilization of the system. It's working, Maria exclaimed, a burst of joy mixing with disbelief. She looked at Zektar, who was smiling broadly, his relief palpable.
Let's monitor the data. If this holds, we might even enhance the efficiency of the system,
Zektar said, his eyes darting back to the holographic display. Maria watched as the readings stabilized, the numbers fluctuating within a safe range. You mean, we can make this thing run even better than before? She asked, incredulous.
Yes.
This is more than just a patch-up, it's a significant improvement, he replied, his voice bursting with excitement. As they stood together, monitoring the data, Maria felt a surge of pride wash over her.
I guess that's the power of human ingenuity, huh, she said, grinning.
Zektar looked at her with newfound respect.
Your creativity is indeed remarkable.
I underestimated the value of simple materials like duct tape.
Don't sell yourself short.
Your expertise in alien engineering paired with my human solutions turned out to be a winning combination, Maria said, her confidence growing.
Maybe we should start a new team, Earth's improvisers. Zektar laughed, the sound warm and genuine.
I would join such a team, but not just for the duct tape. I believe we can create a bridge between our worlds. As the minutes passed, the threat of failure loomed less ominously. The alarms quieted, and the lights flickered back to their steady state.
Maria couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph.
However, just as that thought settled, the holographic display flickered again, revealing a new warning.
What now?
Zektar muttered, his smile fading as he studied the screen.
It seems the stabilization is holding, but we have another problem.
The external systems are reporting a complete power drain from the station. If we don't address this, we might still face a catastrophic failure.
Maria's heart sank. What does that mean for us?
It means we need to restore power to the entire facility, not just the control room.
If we don't act quickly, we could lose everything we just accomplished. Zektar's expression shifted to one of urgency. We need to get to the power distribution center. It's not far from here. Let's go then. Maria felt the adrenaline rush back, propelling her forward.
They pushed through the control room doors and navigated the tightly packed hallways of the facility, the machinery humming around them. As they ran, Maria's mind raced with thoughts.
Why did they choose to invade now?
What do they want from us? She asked, desperation creeping into her voice.
Zektar glanced at her, his expression grave.
I believe they thought we were vulnerable, that our systems would be easy to exploit. But now, they might not expect us to adapt and resist.
If we can restore power, we can signal for help and prepare for their approach. Signal for help? You mean, we're still under threat? Maria's voice wavered, and she pushed the fear down deep. Yes.
If we can make it back to the central command, we can send out an emergency signal to nearby fleets. But first, we need to stabilize the entire power grid, he said, urgency lacing his words. They reached the power distribution center, a large room filled with humming machines and flickering lights, a stark contrast to the calm they had just established in the control room.
We need to find the main power conduit.
It should be around here, Zektar said, scanning the room. Maria spotted a series of large conduits running along the wall. Is that it? She pointed towards the largest one, its surface shimmering under the fluorescent lights.
Yes.
If we reroute the energy from this conduit, we might just regain control of the entire facility, Zektar exclaimed, moving closer to assess the connections. As they worked side by side, Maria felt the connection between them deepen. With every twist of wires and adjustment, they were not just fixing machinery, they were forging a partnership founded on trust and collaboration. I never thought I would be here, working with an alien to save the day, she said, half-jokingly. Zektar paused, a thoughtful look crossing his face. And I never imagined that a janitor could possess such profound insight and creativity. This experience has changed my perception of humans. His words resonated with Maria.
Likewise, Zektar.
We might come from different worlds, but we're more alike than I ever thought possible.
As they finished their adjustments, Zektar prepared to activate the power flow. This will be the moment.
If it works, we will not only save the facility but also send a strong message to anyone watching. We are not to be trifled with.
Then let's do this,
Maria replied, feeling a surge of determination. They shared a glance, an unspoken agreement passing between them. Zektar pressed the button, and for a moment, there was silence.
Then, with a roar, the power surged through the conduits, filling the room with a brilliant glow.
The monitors lit up, pulsing with life as readings stabilized across the facility.
We did it! Maria shouted, exhilaration washing over her. But just as they celebrated, a new alert blared through the room. What now? Maria gasped, dread creeping back in.
Zektar's expression hardened, his eyes narrowing as he read the flashing alerts.
We have incoming.
The invaders have detected our surge and are preparing to attack.
We must act now.
Maria swallowed hard, the gravity of their situation settling in. They had managed to stabilize the facility, but the fight was far from over. The stakes had risen dramatically, and their only hope was to be ready for whatever came next.
Let's prepare for them, then, she declared, a fierce resolve igniting within her.
They were no longer just a janitor and an alien engineer, they were a team, ready to defend their home. As Maria and Zektar navigated the dimly lit corridors of the facility, the low hum of machinery accompanied their hurried footsteps. The urgency of the moment propelled them forward, a palpable sense of determination coursing through Maria's veins. She had risen to the occasion, working alongside an alien to avert disaster. But as they approached the power distribution center, a thought gnawed at her mind.
Zektar, she said, breaking the silence, why did the aliens choose to invade Earth? What did they think we were capable of?
Zektar looked thoughtful for a moment, his antennae twitching slightly. There were misconceptions, he admitted, his voice tinged with regret.
Our intelligence reports suggested that humanity was on a path of self-destruction.
We believed that your technology was primitive, and that your societies were fragmented. The decision to invade was based on the assumption that we could either subdue or eliminate a potential threat before it escalated.
Maria felt a knot tighten in her stomach. So, you thought we were a danger? That we'd attack first?
Precisely, Zektar replied, his tone earnest.
We saw your conflicts from afar and interpreted them as signs of weakness, not realizing the strength that lies in your diversity and resilience.
Our leaders believed that intervention was necessary.
Maria shook her head, processing his words. But you were wrong. We're not all enemies. We can work together.
Yes, Zektar agreed, his eyes shining with an understanding that had deepened through their collaboration.
And that is why this situation is so critical. The power drain is not just a technical issue, it represents a turning point. If we can stabilize this facility, it might change our leaders' perceptions. Perhaps we can prevent the invasion entirely.
They reached the door to the power distribution center, a heavy metal barrier locked and secured. Zektar quickly scanned the panel with his holographic display.
We need to bypass the security measures.
They're designed to protect the power core from any unauthorized access. Maria stepped forward, her heart racing again, but not from fear, it was from an overwhelming sense of agency.
Let me try something.
She reached for her multi-tool, a trusty gadget she had carried for years. It wasn't much, but it had saved her on more than one occasion.
She quickly knelt by the panel, examining the wiring.
Zektar watched with fascination.
Your ingenuity is impressive, Maria.
I have never seen such a method applied in our engineering systems. Just a little human creativity, she replied, her fingers deftly working to open the panel.
Sometimes you have to think outside the box.
After a few tense moments, the panel emitted a soft beep, and the door hissed open. Maria grinned at Zektar, who looked ready to burst with pride. "Let's get to work," she said, stepping inside. The power distribution center was a maze of wires and blinking consoles. The overwhelming scent of ozone filled the air, and the noise of machinery surrounded them. "We need to restore power to the entire facility," Zektar reminded her, urgency creeping back into his voice. Maria nodded, moving towards the main control console. "I'll handle the interface. You focus on the power conduits." She felt a surge of confidence. This was her domain, a place where she could make a difference. As they began their work, Maria felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. "Zektar, once we stabilize the systems, what will happen next?" Zektar paused, his expression serious. "If we succeed, it will prevent the invasion. But it's more than that." He glanced at her, the warmth in his eyes reassuring. "It will show that humanity has the potential to innovate and collaborate in ways we never imagined." Maria's heart swelled. "Then we need to show them. We can change the narrative." Together, they worked in sync, Maria navigating the human interface while Zektar manipulated the alien technology. Every flicker of the lights sent a new wave of hope coursing through them. But as they pressed forward, alarms began to sound, echoing through the facility once more. "What's happening?" Maria shouted over the blaring sirens, her fingers flying across the console. "It seems the power surge has triggered a lockdown protocol," Zektar replied, his face tightening. "If we don't bypass it, we'll be trapped here. Can you override it?" Maria asked, her voice rising in pitch. "I can try," Zektar said, already working on his holographic display. "But it requires access to the mainframe, which is located in the core chamber." Maria felt her heart drop. "And how do we get there?" Zektar's eyes darted around the room, searching for a solution. "There's an emergency access route, but it's dangerous." "Dangerous how?" "It leads through the coolant ducts," Zektar explained, his voice grave. "If we don't navigate them correctly, we risk exposure to freezing temperatures." "Let's do it," Maria said, determination flooding her. "If we want to save our worlds, we can't hesitate." Zektar nodded, admiration flickering in his gaze. "Then let's move." They dashed toward the access door, heartbeats echoing in their ears. The uncertainty of the situation loomed large, but Maria felt a clarity she hadn't experienced before. This was her fight, and she was no longer just a janitor, she was a hero in the making. As they descended into the dark and narrow ducts, the atmosphere shifted. Maria could feel the chill creeping in, but it was nothing compared to the warmth of resolve that ignited within her. "Hey, Zektar," she called out, her voice echoing off the metal walls. "When this is over, maybe we could help each other more. Show you our world. You could learn just how capable we are." Zektar's response was immediate, his enthusiasm palpable. "I would like that. Perhaps we can create a coalition of understanding." "Absolutely," Maria replied, her voice steady and filled with hope. "We can create a bridge between our worlds." With renewed purpose, they crawled through the ducts, each inch forward a testament to their growing bond. Their journey was fraught with danger, but now it was underscored by the promise of a new understanding, one that could redefine the fate of both planets. Little did they know, the greatest challenge was yet to come, but as long as they stood together, Maria felt they had a chance. As Maria and Zektar worked diligently within the power distribution center, the atmosphere crackled with a blend of tension and hope. Maria felt the familiar hum of machinery resonate through her, but this time it was different. It wasn't just about fixing a leak, it was about securing the future of Earth and its inhabitants. The stakes were high, and every moment counted. Her hands moved swiftly across the controls, deftly inputting commands, but her mind was racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. "Zektar," she said, glancing up from the console, "if we manage to stabilize this facility, how do we communicate our success to your leaders? They need to understand that we can coexist peacefully, that not all humans are threats." Zektar paused, his gaze focused on the energy readings flickering on the screen. "That is my next task," he replied, his tone steady but thoughtful. "I will advocate for peace and cooperation among our species, but it won't be easy. There are factions within our ranks that are set in their beliefs. They see humans as a liability, not an asset." Maria felt a wave of determination wash over her. "Then we'll show them. We have to present ourselves as capable partners, not just a species to be conquered. What can we do to change the narrative?" Zektar's antennae twitched in thought. "Perhaps we can gather data to demonstrate human ingenuity and resilience. The way you resolved the leak using improvisation and creativity, this is a testament to your kind's ability to adapt. I believe your actions today will speak volumes." As they worked side by side, the connection between them deepened. Maria could feel Zektar's trust in her growing, and she felt her own understanding of him evolve. He was not just an alien, he had become a friend, an ally in an unexpected battle against prejudice. After several intense minutes, Maria tapped a final button, and the console emitted a low hum. The facility's lights flickered before stabilizing, bathing them in a warm glow. It worked! We stabilized the power, she exclaimed, her heart racing with triumph. Zektar looked at her with a mix of pride and relief. You have done it, Maria. Together, we have a chance to change everything. He stepped closer, his eyes reflecting the glow of the console. Now, we must prepare for the next phase, our presentation to the council. Maria nodded, adrenaline pumping through her veins. I'll help gather the data we need to show them. We need to highlight the risks of invasion, but also the potential for partnership. Suddenly, an alarm blared from the control panel, cutting through their moment of victory. Zektar's expression shifted from elation to concern. What is happening? He quickly scanned the readings. No, this is not good. There are reports of dissent among the other factions. They are mobilizing against us. What do you mean? Maria asked, her heart sinking. Are they coming here? They disagree with my perspective, Zektar explained urgently. They believe that any show of weakness from our side will embolden humans to attack. They want to proceed with the invasion regardless of our findings. Maria's pulse quickened. We need to act fast. Can we send a message to your leaders? We have to make them see that this is a mistake. Zektar's eyes widened as he considered the implications. We can, but it must be done discreetly. If the other factions catch wind of our communications, it may lead to confrontation. Then let's be quick, Maria urged, her mind racing. We can use the facility's communication system to relay our data directly to your council. They need to see the evidence of our collaboration. Zektar nodded, determination returning to his features. Yes, we will create a comprehensive report showcasing not only our success here but also the potential for unity. They sprang into action, quickly compiling their findings. As Maria worked to format the report, she felt a surge of confidence. Zektar, this could change everything. If we convince your leaders, we might just stop the invasion. Indeed, Zektar replied, his voice steady. But we must be prepared for backlash. There are always those who resist change. Maria glanced up, meeting his gaze. If they see that the human perspective is valid and that we can contribute positively, they might reconsider. We have to believe in that possibility. With the report completed, Zektar began transmitting the data through the facility's systems. As the information flowed out, Maria felt the weight of every word they had crafted. It's out there now, she said, taking a deep breath. There's no turning back. Indeed, Zektar said, but his voice was now tinged with uncertainty. We must wait and see how they respond. I fear the reaction may not be as welcoming as we hope. As they stood there, waiting for a response, the air felt charged with anticipation. Maria knew that whatever happened next would define the future not just for her but for countless others. The concept of unity and understanding hung in the balance, and she felt the enormity of that responsibility on her shoulders. Zektar, she said, breaking the tense silence, no matter what happens, I'm glad we stood up for what we believe in. We've shown that we can work together, and that has to mean something. Zektar nodded, a soft warmth in his eyes. Yes, Maria, together, we have forged a bond that transcends our differences. We have taken the first step towards understanding. Whatever comes next, we will face it together. Just then, a message pinged on the console. Both their hearts raced as they turned to read the incoming communication from Zektar's leaders. The words flashed on the screen, illuminating their expressions with a mix of hope and trepidation. The moment of truth had arrived, and the fate of their peoples rested on their shoulders. Here we go, Maria whispered, bracing herself for the response that could change everything. As Maria and Zektar finalized their report, the weight of their mission settled heavily on their shoulders. The alarm that had once signaled impending doom now served as a reminder of the urgency they faced. They had stabilized the power distribution center, but the real challenge lay ahead, convincing the Intergalactic Council of their potential for collaboration. Let's make sure we emphasize the adaptability of human ingenuity, Maria suggested, her fingers flying over the console as she compiled the data. We can showcase how we approached the leak with creativity and determination. Zektar nodded, his eyes scanning the holographic interface. Indeed, but we must also highlight the risks of an invasion. If they see that aggression will lead to mutual destruction, it may sway some of the more stubborn factions. The two worked seamlessly, their minds synchronizing as they wove their narrative together. The tension in the air was palpable, but beneath it lay a current of hope. Each statistic, every piece of evidence they compiled served as a thread in the tapestry of their argument for peace. With the report polished and ready, Zektar activated the communication system. This must be done with utmost discretion, he reminded her, his expression serious. We cannot let the dissenting factions discover our intentions. Maria took a deep breath, her heart racing. I understand. Let's send it out now, before they mobilize any further. As Zektar initiated the transmission,
A flicker of doubt crossed his features. What if they don't believe us? What if they dismiss our findings?
Then we'll have to show them, Maria replied, the determination in her voice steadying his nerves.
We've already proven what we can accomplish together. We can demonstrate our potential in person if necessary. Just as the transmission was sent, a loud crash echoed through the facility, followed by frantic alarms.
Zektar's eyes widened.
They've found out. We must prepare for their arrival.
Prepare for what?
Maria asked, her pulse quickening.
An ambush, Zektar said, urgency flooding his tone.
The factions that oppose our collaboration will not take this lightly.
We need to protect this facility and ourselves.
Maria's mind raced.
We can use the facility's defenses, but we must also rally support from those who believe in our cause. If we can show them the value of our partnership, we might sway the council.
Agreed, Zektar replied, his antennae twitching in response to the escalating chaos.
I will reach out to allies among the council members while you prepare the facility.
With a nod, Maria sprang into action.
She rushed to the control room, her heart pounding in her chest. The familiar hum of machinery was now accompanied by the distant sound of approaching footsteps.
She could feel the tension mounting,
the air thick with anticipation. As she activated the defense protocols, she noticed a familiar face entering the control room. It was Jake, her former boss.
What's going on?
He demanded, his brows furrowed in worry.
There's been a breach, Maria replied, her voice steady despite the chaos. We need to defend this facility, and we need your help.
Jake looked hesitant, but then determination flickered in his eyes.
I'm in. What do you need me to do?
Rally the staff, Maria instructed.
We need everyone on board, humans and aliens alike. We have to show them that we stand united.
As Jake left to gather support, Maria returned to Zektar, who was deep in conversation with a council member on the communication screen.
They are listening, he said, his voice low, but they need to see the evidence in action.
Then let's give them a show, Maria replied, her mind racing with possibilities. We'll demonstrate our defenses, and if we can repel this ambush, it will prove our point. Zektar nodded, his confidence bolstered by her enthusiasm. We will show them the strength of our partnership, and that together, we can overcome any challenge. As the footsteps grew louder, Maria and Zektar positioned themselves at the control panel. They activated the facility's defenses, preparing for the confrontation ahead. The doors burst open, and a group of hostile aliens stormed into the room. Maria's heart raced as she took in their fierce expressions.
Stand down,
Zektar commanded, his voice echoing through the chamber.
We do not wish to fight, but we will defend ourselves. One of the aliens stepped forward, their eyes narrowed. You think your cooperation will change anything? You are weak.
Maria felt a surge of anger rise within her.
Weakness isn't defined by strength alone. It's about the choices we make.
Zektar turned to Maria, surprise evident in his gaze.
What are you proposing?
I'm proposing we show them how we can work together, she said, her voice steady.
Let's demonstrate our defense capabilities.
If we can repel this attack, it will speak volumes about our potential for peace.
Zektar nodded, the glint of determination in his eyes. Very well, let's do this.
As the hostile aliens advanced, Maria activated the facility's automated defenses.
Bright lights flashed, and barriers rose to shield them.
The aliens hesitated, caught off guard by the sudden display of strength.
Now,
Maria shouted, rallying Zektar and the remaining staff. They launched a counteroffensive, showcasing their unity and resilience.
The battle was fierce but brief. The combined efforts of humans and aliens repelled the attackers, demonstrating the power of collaboration.
As the last of the hostile forces retreated, a collective cheer erupted from the control room. Breathing heavily, Maria turned to Zektar, who was gazing at the communication screen.
They witnessed everything, he said, his voice filled with awe. We have proven our point.
Now we need to solidify our alliance, Maria replied, exhilaration coursing through her veins. We can present our findings, along with the evidence of our cooperation in the face of adversity.
As they prepared to address the council once more, Maria felt a newfound sense of purpose.
No longer just a janitor, she had become a symbol of resilience and hope. The council meeting commenced, and Zektar stood beside her, his presence a reassuring anchor. Together, they presented the data, the evidence of their successful defense, and the potential for interspecies collaboration. Today, we have shown that cooperation is possible, Zektar declared, his voice steady. We stand united in our resolve to forge a new path, one that values understanding and partnership over conflict.
As the council members deliberated, Maria watched with bated breath.
Finally, the lead counselor spoke, a smile spreading across his face.
We have witnessed a remarkable display of unity today. It is clear that collaboration between our species can yield tremendous benefits. We shall move forward with an alliance.
Cheers erupted in the control room, and Maria felt tears prick at her eyes.
They had done it.
they had changed the narrative.
As the celebrations began, Zektar turned to Maria, a smile on his face.
You have become more than just a janitor, Maria.
You are an ambassador of peace.
Maria felt a warmth spread through her chest. And you, my friend, are a reminder that hope can be found even in the most unexpected places. Together, they stepped into the future, ready to embrace a new era of collaboration and understanding, one that would echo through the galaxies for generations to come.